My first job was working at a haunted house, and I absolutely fell in love with the rush and the thrill of scaring people and making them laugh, and sometimes cry. Haunted houses evoke such strong primordial emotions within us, much like how other adrenaline-inducing activities do. And just for a moment, the outside world and all other thinking vanishes, and we're able to fully absorb ourselves, saturate ourselves into that present moment. And boy, howdy, is it delicious. And this is a taste of why we are so drawn to and fascinated and interested by things that scare us, by things that trigger those adrenaline responses within our being. And so today we're going to be looking at the psychology of monsters and why Halloween and dressing up is just so appealing to us on a fundamental human level. So let's dive in. Welcome back. My name is Alaric Hutchinson, aka the Zen Cowboy, and with today's topic of the psychology of monsters, we're going to start with a quote from my book, Heart of Humanity, page 284. The Eve of Elders' Rest, aka Halloween, also honors the egoic aspects of ourselves in the way our fears and desires can manifest as demons and monsters. By costuming, wearing the things that make us fearful, we shed light on them and acknowledge their existence. They grow and cause harm in our lives because we avoid them. But their purpose is to let us know they are present and need our attention and tending. By having a day in which we allow them to exist openly, we remember that we are multifaceted creatures and we need not fear the uncomfortable truths or hide them from ourselves and others. So in short, monsters and demons and all the things that go bump in the night, I like to look at them as merely psychological projections of our subconscious mind and our fears, our wants, our desires, and our primordial emotions that tend to bubble up, and we give them tangible form in our imaginations and sometimes in real life through enacting them and creating art forms through which we can enjoy and give expression to them, but also through our harmful karmic behaviors where they sometimes take over and get the best of us when our egoic monstrosities come out and cause great harm on our planet. But today we're talking more about the grisly and the ghouly stuff versus the psychological karmic harms that some of us sometimes fall into. So let us start with 4 archetypes. We have the vampire, the ghost, the witch, and the werewolf. Let's dive in. Starting with vampires, we have the fear of the decay of time, that which leads to aging, illness, and our inevitable deaths. Is it any wonder that as a species we have this fascination with vampires and immortality and the ability to stay young and beautiful forever? And so this desire to stay young, but also enjoy overindulgence with almost a constant sexual energy of not only having intimacy, but in the satisfaction and the ecstasy that you see vampires get from drinking blood. We have this archetype of overindulgence, of immortality that allows us to effectively do whatever the hell we want to do. Obviously, there are some cons involved, but that's for another video. This is simply about us facing our fear of aging, of illness, and death, while wanting to be in that young state of overindulgence without repercussions forever. Quite fascinating, isn't it? Next, we have ghosts and spirits, and this confronts our fear of the unknown, and it often translates over to our fear of the dark. And even back in the day when more of us lived out in the countryside and brushing up against dark forests, the fear of the spirits of the forest when we're alone walking through the wood. So all of this triggers our vulnerability, especially when the lights go out and we cannot see anything. I know so many adults who are afraid of the dark, but it is not so much the dark, it is the unknown and our inability to fully see what is happening around us. It triggers that primordial fear response that is inherent in humanity. And so it's almost as if we have a predisposition to believe in ghosts and spirits who are out to get us, to fear what is lurking in the dark, to fear what we can sense but not see. And it triggers that stress response within us. But worry not. Whether or not ghosts and the spirits and the like are real or not real, if they are, we would be hearing so many more cases on people disappearing from the things in the wood or from possessions taking over in homes and all of these things. And yes, we pretty much know everyone who has a ghost story, but they all make it out alive. So worry not, my dears. Let's move on to our next one about witches. Now, the witch is a personal favorite of mine, and it's twofold. We have those who fear witches and those who identify or want to be a witch. Those who fear them are those who are afraid of the other. They are othering those who are different than them and are demonizing them, making them out to, quote, be the witch of the village. Now, those who might have felt persecuted as the witch of the village, they are the people who have felt othered, possibly their entire lives, or by their families, or by society, etc. And I personally, as a gay man and a non-Christian, fall into this category. Even in the small town that I moved to about a handful of years ago, when I was giving a public talk, 2 men came up to it and threatened to run me out of town. What is this? The witch trials? And so I could laugh about it now, but that was very scary. So my entire life, I've known what it's been like to feel othered and as an outcast of society. And through this persecution, we desire a sense of control over our lives and a sense of power. And that's where we have the motif of witchcraft, the ability to have self-agency over our lives. But flipping back to the other side of it, those who fear witches, this is the fear of the forbidden knowledge, the fear of the occult, the fear of, quote, that power. And so what's interesting is no matter where you fall in the spectrum revolving around witchcraft, is it all stems back to feeling an insecurity, a lack of power. And another layer of this is the persecution of the divine feminine, which has been going on for thousands of years. And truth be told, this is a whole other layer and video we can get into that is multifaceted with politics and religion and all the like. But for now, let's bring it back home to simply the psychology of monsters, or what we perceive as monsters. And when it comes to witches, this one is unlike the ghosts, where we're fearing what is unseen. With the witch, we're fearing what is seen. Let's go ahead and take a breath. And last but not least, we have the werewolf, which translates to the fear of self. Now let me explain this, because this might be a little confusing at first glance. Think about any werewolf movie or show or book you've read. There's always this ongoing theme of losing control, and especially hurting those that we love. What I love about the werewolf is that it is reflecting, going back to that word that we've been using a lot, but reflecting our primordial instincts and emotions, and in particular, our anger, and having that well up within us, turning into a beast that then causes harm not only to ourselves, but those around us, and often due to a lack of control and an inability to have self-agency. So when the moon gets full, we are transformed against our will, and often we're blacking out and we have no recollection of what has happened. So this is linking us back to our instincts, our primordial emotions, and our anger, and just lashing out. And I think many of us can relate to where we've had experiences in our life where we have been so angry and we see red and we're acting almost as if we're not thinking. And this might actually have led to abuse, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. But we must not shy away from this reality that this exists, this werewolf, this energy exists within us. And if we are not mindful, if we do not practice peace, we can cause harm to others. And sometimes it feels like it's outside of our control, but in actuality, it isn't. And we have tools that allows us to quell that beastly nature within us, aka the ego. Let's take a breath. So this has been a fun and short take on the psychology of monsters, inspired by the time of year it is, and also from the section of my book, Heart of Humanity, on honoring autumn. And if you're interested in exploring more of your own psychology with the philosophy and spirituality of Dunisha that I teach in my book, I highly recommend picking up a copy from Amazon. The link is below, and there are other ways to get involved if you're interested, either working one-on-one where we can explore the archetypes of the monsters and the demons that you feel are within you, manifesting through your ego, etc. Or if you just want to keep watching these videos and enjoying the weekly content I've been providing, all of that is delicious and wonderful, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.